You know, life is full of challenges, isn't it? Well, the source text we're diving into today has this really simple but incredibly powerful way to think about them. It all boils down to a choice we're making all the time. Do we focus on the thorns, or do we decide to gather the roses?
Everything starts with a dream. Just picture it. You're being led through this beautiful garden by the person who owns it. And you can kind of guess what this garden represents, right? It's life. It's a pretty peaceful scene, but it's really just setting the stage for a critical choice we all have to make.
So, here we are in this garden of life, and the story shows us there are two completely different ways to walk through it. What's interesting is that the garden itself doesn't change, but the way the traveler chooses to experience it, that changes everything.
And here are those two paths, laid out plain as day. On one side, you have the journey you're meant to be on. You're following the guide, you're gathering beautiful flowers, just enjoying their amazing fragrance. It's a path of joy. But then, there's the other path, the distracted one. This is where you get lost among the thorns, fixating on every sharp edge, and just getting totally overwhelmed with grief.
This really gets to the heart of the whole problem, doesn't it? The danger of the thorns. I mean, why is it so easy for us to get distracted by the negative? Why do we so often get stuck on the difficulties and the disappointments in life?
And this is the voice of that distraction. It's a question I think a lot of us have asked in our own way. You see all this beauty, but you let the imperfections, the thorns, spoil the entire experience. It's a mindset that sees the whole garden as flawed, just because of its inevitable challenges.
And focusing on the thorns has real consequences. We're told they will only wound you and grieve you, but it goes so much deeper than that. By only seeing the negative, you're not just ignoring the good things in your own life, you can actually get in the way of other people seeing the good in theirs.
So, here's the bottom line. A constant focus on all the unpleasant memories, the hard times, the disappointments, it fills a soul with darkness. That way of thinking literally shuts out the light for you. And, as we're about to see, it casts a shadow on everyone around you.
But thankfully, the story doesn't just leave us there, lost in the thorns. This is the turning point. The guide, the owner of the garden, steps in with some incredibly simple yet totally powerful advice.
This is it. This is the central message. It's not about pretending the thorns don't exist. It's about making a conscious decision to shift your focus. Stop touching the things that are only going to hurt you. Instead, intentionally look for and gather the good things, the roses, the lilies, and the pinks.
Okay, so this gather the roses idea sounds lovely, right? But how do we actually do that in our day-to-day lives? Well, lucky for us, the source gives us a really clear guide.
The text asks us this directly, so I'm going to ask you. Just take a second and look back. Haven't there been bright spots, precious seasons, moments where your heart just felt full of joy? That is the starting point for gathering roses.
So, what are these roses, lilies, and pinks anyway? They're the pleasant pages in the book of your life. They're those bright pictures, the positive memories. And according to our source, they're the blessed assurances of God's love, growing like fragrant flowers right beside your path.
And this shows us how to make it a real habit. First, you look back and you consciously find those good memories. Second, you look around you for the promises of goodness and love that are always there. And third, and this is so important, you group them together. You create this little mental bouquet of blessings that you can turn to, especially when you feel yourself getting pulled back toward the thorns.
And finally, our source reminds us that this choice we make, it's not just about us. The way we walk through our garden has a massive ripple effect on everyone we meet. Are we sharing light, or are we casting a shadow?
What a powerful image that is. When we let ourselves get overwhelmed by discouragement, we're not just sitting in darkness by ourselves. We're casting a shadow that can actually block the path for other people, making their journey even harder.
And here it is, side by side. Choosing to gather thorns leads to discouragement, it shuts out the light, and it casts a shadow. But choosing to gather roses, that fills your heart with joy. It lets all that beauty and sweetness in, and it allows you to share that positive fragrance with others, making their path brighter too. The source leaves us with this gentle invitation. It's not a command, it's a question. The beauty and the sweetness are there, growing right alongside the thorns. The choice is whether or not we're going to let them in, whether we'll allow them to fill our hearts with joy.
And that's really what it all comes down to. The garden of your life is always going to have both thorns and roses. The thorns are real, nobody is denying that, but the roses are just as real. The ultimate question isn't about whether challenges exist, it's about what you will give your attention to. So, what will you choose to gather today?